Hi, good morning, everyone. I wish to invite my other panel members to come here. Emily, Marco, Antonio, and Shiranya.
We're looking forward to this nice discussion, looking forward to keeping this engaged, see what they have to say, speakers we haven't seen before. Some of them did win awards, so it's going to be remarkable to get their opinion on the stage and see how they're talking.
This is the topic, and it's me. I'm Rohita Ratnavira, coming from Sri Lanka with 17 years of experience in Shell. I have been doing operations management in Africa and Middle East, and even operations in USA, Houston and Louisiana. And my main theme is to provide tailor-made risk management packages for my clients. When I say clients, all Shell companies on downstream and upstream businesses were my clients. So we were identifying the risk control by going through not only the equipment, not just the training, the competency. Competency is a great tool in managing risk. You know, in oil and gas industry, you have to have people who can deliver their knowledge on ground. So that was my profile. I was even working with Shell Open University as a content developer. Now I am running my own business in Sri Lanka. I do the same thing for my clients. And our next member is, Antonio. Please introduce yourself.
Good morning. So my name is Antonio, Venetia Antonio, and I'm the CEO and founder of Geeks Academy.
The next.
Good
Emily.
morning, I'm Emily Thomas Mansour, and I'm the founder and CEO of Education2.0. I'm an advocate for a disruptive way of learning and teaching. And at Education2.0, we bring the technology for educators and learners. We make it accessible, affordable, and we want to enable these amazing communities to focus on human-human interactions. Thank you.
Yeah. The next member is Dr. Marco.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Marco Pardo. I'm the CEO and General Manager of a vocational training center based in north of Italy.
And Shiranya.
Hi, I'm Sharnya. I co-founded Quest and Breadcrumb with my friend and mentor right here, Shrikant. We have worked in the learning space from a community angle, working on self-directed learning as our primary principle, and I'd love to share more about it during the panel discussion.
Right. Thanks, team. Right. Now, this is VR. If you even want to identify a person and ask a question, you can go ahead and do it. Now, my problem statement. How this re-emerging of education for the future is important to me. As I mentioned to you all, I have been working outside in many countries, and we get people to work with us. And we find that the people come with loads and loads of certificates, sometimes, sad to say, miserably fail when we want them to deliver. Because there is a big gap. What I have seen as an individual, what they study in their unis, and even during the internship periods, there is no much of a gap bridging system when they come into work. Because we, as a end user of these competent, so-called competent people, we don't have time in training them and molding them into our system. So actually it is delaying the process. Sometimes when a new person comes, the onboarding time is sometimes about 1 year. Right? We see it as a waste. Now, therefore, we selected this topic to have a good discussion. We have an excellent set of panel members. But we will see how we are going to move forward from here. Actually, I have prepared some questions. Now, for last 2 days, I have been talking to some of you all and getting the feedback from you all about this topic, because all of you all are educators, or connected directly or indirectly. So I wanted to know how did you all feel about it? So based on the feedback from very same you all, I have prepared 4 questions, right? First one goes to Dr. Antonio. Future job markets, as I mentioned earlier, is opting to employ. Now, treat me as the client, right? I am opting to employ competent people, not educated people, right? So, how we should deliver this, and what is the gap in the market as of now?
So since 2016, when we started with Geeks Academy, delivering programs in the field of cybersecurity, data science, blockchain, and coding, it was very clear to our minds that we live in a world which is changing at fast pace, a pace that was never seen in human history. So our main goal was to empower our students to embrace this accelerating pace in the next generation jobs of their economy. We have approached this question from three different standpoints. So building contents of our curricula, the delivery methodology, and then the job placement service. Coming to the contents, we built our curricula together with the companies. We asked them, what are your needs? What skills do they have to possess your workforce? And together, we created those curricula. But that's not enough, because as we said, technology, digital revolution is going very quick. So we have to keep the pace. So we decided, together with the advisory board that we created, whose members are the CEO of partnering companies, we decided to upgrade at least 20% of the contents every 6 months. This is the only way we can empower our students to be successful later on in the working world. Then we have delivery methodology. We started training people with the, let's say, traditional model of brick and mortar classrooms. Then came pandemia. I mean, since the beginning, we had a blended approach, hybrid formula, so online and offline. 80% was offline, 20% was online. Then came pandemia, COVID-19. And we had to move 100% online courses. We still kept it live online courses. And now we decided to keep this way of delivery. We will have 80% of education which will be live, online, and then of course we offer boot camps in brick and mortar's old way of teaching. Still, the fact that we deliver programs live online doesn't mean that we can have packed classrooms, up to 30, 40 people. So we created certain standards, maximum 12 students per class. That's very important. It's even more important now that we deliver live online. And third point, job placement service. When we started, we used to wait the accomplishment of the program. So 3, 6, 9 months part-time study programs. Now we start job interviews already during the study. And as they are part-time, they can already start working and studying at the same time.
So now, actually, in your explanation, you mentioned a situation where these people they are already working in some place, right?
We have 65 of our target who are workers, and 35 they are new skills. So we do new skilling and reskilling.
Okay, right. That's great. Okay. Now, with that, I'm connecting to Dr. Marco. How now he's mentioning about conducting sessions and getting the students to get the acquire the required knowledge through certain sources. How the business community can help this model? What is the role? Because actually, for me personally, my own experience, the university students getting their internship in a metal factory or somewhere, then coming and working in a different environment totally. So is there any possibility of getting these people to do the internship also in a place where they're supposed to go in the future or something like that? How the business can help them?
Yeah, as Antonio mentioned, the connection with company and the business community is very important in the future of education, I think. But before going deep into the question, let's set the framework. And the main goals of an education system is, I think, there are two main goals. The first one is to prepare students to actively participate to, let's say, robust democracy. And the second goal is to ensure them to be successful in the global economy. So two great goals to achieve, difficult goals to achieve. And the system now is cracked. There are some problem, and if we don't redesign it with the business community, I think it will break up. And I just give you two data about the Italian situation, but I think it's the same situation all over the world. In Italy, we have, let's say, a lack of alignment between job offers and skills. We have, let's say, between 35% and 40% of young people unemployed. But on the other side, we have, let's say, 100,000 job offer without answers. And this mismatch between skills and offer is a great problem. And if we don't fix it, in the future, we will have a lot of other problems. And the other track I would like to share with you is in Italy we have 18% of young people under 29 that are not in education are not working, and that's a great rate we have to fix. So the future is now changing fast. We are in industry 4.0, focusing on AI, machine learning. So the future will be more technological, more automated, and the future will be probably more human, because creativity will be one of the main aspects to solve many challenges we have in our society. So with this framework, I think we have 4 points to focus on to change the educational system. And in each point, the company are involved. I think the first one is lifelong learning. People should be able to, let's say, go to company, go out to the company, get back to the educational system, then go out and get to the company again, and undergo a training process when they need it, because they want to change the job, because their skills are not updated. And of course, this involves the company, because we have to define the skills the market need with the companies, and the companies should allow people to do that. So that's a great focus point. So it's not, about internship. It's about shifting from studying to working to study all along the life. And I think it's a very important point. The second point is the fact that the connection with the company, between school and company, must be, let's say, tighter. We have to bring company into the school. I can just share an example with you. We have explored in our school. We have a program for cookers, and we have 9 headquarters, and one of them is an hotel. And the cookers have their lesson in the workshop, which is of course a kitchen. But at the end of the day, they have to serve a meal for our guests. And this is a real situation, and their skill develop in a faster way, in a better way. And of course we did that talking with company, involving company in the school. And I think that's another way to fix the problem we have. The third point is developing soft skills. Soft skills are very important today. Let's say complex problem solving, critical thinking, decision making. Those are very important soft skills. And you can learn it doing real things. And to do real things, you have to interact with companies. You can learn it at school, but it's better if you learn it, let's say, on the field. So we have to, a lot of our students have internship time, but this is a better way to collaborate with company. And then the last point is international experience. I think that students have to have, let's say, some periods of internship in an international company. We started this program in 2016. 100 of our students go abroad for 4 weeks internship, and when they come back, they are completely changed. They have a different mindset. And we have seen that they find a better job, they have a better career progress. So connecting with company is very important on those points, I think.
Yeah, so they will come with better employability, actually.
Yeah.
Okay. Right, Emily, I think as every one of us very much aware, the world came to a virtual standstill by end 2019. Then at the early 2020, we started online education. Right now, when it comes to online education in 2020, it was something out of the blues. We were not ready for that, right? But with your experience, with your professional experience, how can this online education could be more interactive and more deliverable than what we are experiencing today to cater for both the requirements these two gentlemen mentioned about?
So I think there is a problem that we need to tackle, is that online education up until now I've been trying to reproduce what we're doing, and most of the time they reproduce the bad things and not the good things. So and we tend to, and it was I guess what the previous keynote was saying about inclusion and about labeling. We tend to label things and to disconnect, and you were talking about this disconnection between education and then companies and the workforce. It's the same way we disconnect offline, online. We need to reimagine that. We need to connect. We need to bring people together. And why it's not interactive and why it's not fun online today, because we're reproducing the not fun things that we do offline. And I guess technology, because online it goes beyond online. It's about technology. How can technology can help people connect, help people impact others? We have an opportunity here, and you were talking about Web 4. That's coming much faster than we imagine. Maybe next year it will be Education 3.0 and not Education 2.0. Education technologies need to be enablers. We need to enable these communities to come together and not keep disconnected. So it's not a question of offline, online. It's not a question of education on one side and work on the other side. As educators, as technologists, we also need to go and meet our learning communities. And where do they spend time today? They spend time on social media. They spend time on the metaverse. They spend time on many different platforms that we see as evil, and maybe we refuse to work together with this platform and to bring ourselves there. So as technologists, as online, our role as well is to break these walls between all these communities and bring them together, understand how it works, understand how the future of technology, because it's happening fast. It's not only about content, it's about going and see what's happening out there and enable educators to get equipped, to get relevant when they go and meet their communities who are already spending time there. So instead of focusing mainly on content, we should focus on enablement, breaking the walls between these different labels. It's about equipping educators to go and meet the learners where they are, and not in a way where we need to teach them something, but a way when we need to connect with them, to focus on these human-human relationships. So I guess when we talk about online education, this is really for us, what we need to do is to think of a new paradigm and not necessarily trying to fix a content here or trying to fix, trying to add some gamification, for example, because we think that, okay, if they're going to enjoy it, maybe if we think of ways to play online, they will enjoy it more. It's not enough. We really need to go and meet our communities and connect on a deeper level.
Thank you. And Sharanya, now I am having a question for you, because you are the one who's preparing school students from junior levels right up to intermediate level like. Now you all are the ones who are preparing students to come and face these challenges. So now in your one, are you using in your opinion, are we using the right tool to enable students to come and meet the challenges these our other panel members are mentioning about? Is it we are in the right track, or is there any change to be done to enable students to be more productive and more efficient once they come up to these levels?
So one question that I have for everybody is, do we see education and learning as two different things? And do you see it as a system that each country, each university, whatever it is, has created, where you go from one bubble to another? But if you look at learning, it's a much more bigger umbrella term, and most of us talk about lifelong learning, right? So I can tell you a bit from the experience we've had in terms of helping really young children right from when they're 4, to look at learning as something that they just do all the time. So if you fill a water bottle, are you learning something? Can you be more efficient? So the minute you start looking at everything that you do as something you can get better at, something that is skill development, all of those little things that you've done makes you unique, right? If each of us look back at our journey, where we are today and probably 10 years back and even further, I don't think we planned everything to come to this point, right? A lot of the dots that we connect today is just that each of those moments have taken us a step further. And with Quest, which is our learning center back home, we try and provide these opportunities for children. So the idea is to help them meet experts in the field who, if you're a graphic designer, then can you come and just talk about your work to children? You don't need to be the best teacher. You don't need to have a degree in teaching, but just that 1 hour talking about your work, maybe taking them to your studio, showing them what it's like, is a huge opportunity for the child, and it really opens up a lot of doors. So for us, it's connecting these experts, whether it's them coming to our center or us taking children out. We try and break these bubbles as much as possible, so it's not something that's isolated. It's not, Quest is separate and you go there, you learn, and then you come out and then you have after school classes, and then you need to eventually find a job, and there is a gap between the two, right? So the more we enable children to see that pretty much everything that an adult does is something they can try and do, maybe in a smaller way, the gap sort of automatically reduces. And while this is not something we can do outside the system, it's something that we create as a habit in the children, which we do through our digital platform, Breadcrumb. So many of you would have heard the term Kanban board, right? It's a very nice way to organize your work. So for a 4-year-old, they organize their day and their schedule using a Kanban board on our app. And they journal their learning. So eventually you have like a portfolio of everything you've been learning from when you were 4 all the way to 18, and you can actually look back and see those dots, right? So if you look at everything that you've done from when you started art, like you were exploring art, then you probably got really good at it. Then you decided to explore charcoal as a medium, and that took you further. You met an expert, you went to studios. All these little things become the milestones that shapes that child. And as an adult, you become a lot more confident because you know exactly what you're getting into. You're not, like I remember when I had to interview for my first job, I studied a lot of things. I had done my master's in psychology, I had done distance education in MBA, and I had done all of this in theory, but when it comes to practice, you're really scared. You don't know what the questions are going to be, what your interview is going to be like, and you have to learn on the job. But if you're confident that you can learn and you can, change and you're malleable, then I think that enables you that much better. So in terms of just bridging that gap, I feel like one is to make them feel like it's not, something that's a big, scary world, but little bits of it could stitch your own perception. So I do see that the future is in trying to get, and in fact, so many adults reach out to us ever since, we started this program, saying, I would love to come and talk about negotiation skills. I would love to come and talk about interest in entomology. And these are not things that you typically see in a school subject, right? You see science, you see social studies and so on, but you don't see specific things that children are interested in. And we love the fact that we're the learning hub that's connecting people as experts, learning centers, and our own, force that's working to connect these dots as facilitators, as mentors. And it's really just like Emily spoke, it's a community that needs to learn together and enable and empower the next generation, rather than say, I'm sorry, but do school, finish it, and one fine day you have this scary exam that's going to be an interview, and maybe you get a job, 20,000 people are applying for it, 200 people are going to get, so all the best. So we just want to be able to say 200 jobs are available, and here are 2,000 people helping you to get that job. So, let's work on this together.
Yeah, that's lovely. And also I'm having another question which came into my mind just now. While we are going through this all competency development, online training programs, creating or making people to come and grab a job, how human are they going to be in the market afterwards? This is a huge problem what I have seen. The people within the last 2 to 3 years, they went and grabbed their laptops, mobile equipment and everything, they got hooked onto them. That includes my children also. I see there is a big difference between my daughter who was 100% on online during the COVID period with my son who was not at that time. Right now, this question, are we going to prepare mechanical people for the future or robots or zombies for the future? How we are going to get through that hurdle?
Thank you for the question. I think we must not be afraid of these disruptive technological changes we are facing and we are going to face in the next months and next years. I bring an example. In the field of education, there will be an important and major role played by those metaverse technologies. I was 2 weeks ago here in Dubai in a 3-day conference about metaverse. And there was an educator from Africa who, in a panel, he mentioned the potential of the adoption of metaverse in the field of education. It would enrich the offer, it would be very inclusive, it would solve the problem of distances, for example, in Africa. So we really have to embrace technology with a feeling of optimism because it will enable us to be even more inclusive towards a target of people that nowadays cannot beneficiate of training and education.
Yeah,
Emily, from you, yeah?
I totally agree with you, and we need to embrace as well this decentralization. So we got the decentralization of content. Now we have the technology that is allowing us to decouple institutions from, their students or their educators. We have this decentralization in terms of understanding that learning can happen anywhere, anytime. It's a lifelong process. It never stops. And as you said, technology, we have an opportunity today of making the best out of this technology, so we get more freedom and we get more impact. Where we are more free, we can really, as educators and as learners, we can really change things and we can really connect. And people are already on these communities. I know an educator, when COVID started, he went on Discord to find his students. And the student was so happy that their teacher was on Discord with them, you know? And it made the thing fun. So you were asking about how can we make online education fun? Go and meet your communities where they are. The students enjoyed it so much.
Thanks. Yes,
Yeah,
you had to add
I agree too. Just another thing, the education sector is the sector with less innovation in the world. I mean, we still do class as we did 50 years ago, people sitting in a room, a teacher speaking. So we need to use technology to change that framework. And I think we have understood during the pandemic that we can do that, and it will be impacting how we will teach. So I think it will be good.
Okay. Yeah, Sharanya is waiting. Yeah.
I just want to add one small thing. I love that all of us want to embrace technology. And I know that a lot of parents fear that this could be negative for children as well. But so one thing I do see that's evolved very rapidly is when we were all in school, technology was something you had to learn about, like how do you use a computer. But children today are born with, I have complete sense of, using an iPad, the touch interface, and, three finger swipe and so on. So it's not anymore about how do you use technology, but rather how do you safely navigate technology. So the conversation while we talk about new technology that's evolving is also about how do you safely navigate and what do you do when you feel unsafe in this space.
Right, okay. Thanks a lot. And anyway, now she said current children, they know everything. Yes, quite obvious because many of the mums were on tab while during their entire pregnancy. So maybe that influenced the child also even before the child was born, right? Okay. Now, anyway, I'm thinking of giving you all the time to ask any questions if you all have. My learned panel members are waiting. You can actually direct the question to the exact person and ask it.
I love that, Doctor. Give him a round of applause. Really great panelists. I want to let you know, of course, I'd love to give you lots of time. I want to keep you up here all day. We do have another speaker, and then we do have lunch. And you guys see that agenda's already 1 hour delayed, right? So I'll move to you for one question, and then I'm going to ask you guys just to connect with them one-to-one over lunch. Sit with them, have some good, longer conversations. I'm sure you can engage more. Great. Okay, please introduce yourself, your name, and your company, please.
Hello, nice to meet you. My name is Georgia. I'm coming from Romania. 8 years ago, I created a class for children. It's actually a class for resilient, empathic, and spiritual children. My question comes from a different sector because I'm an entrepreneur since I was 20 years old. And when I was 20 years old, I hired people with 40 years old. And now at 40, I hire people for 20 years old, of course. My question is for Dr. Marco, because he said in Italy, a country that I adore, you had, I wrote it here, 80% of young people under 29, they are not employed. And my perspective as a psychologist is that they don't find themselves in our organization. This is why I think now, more than ever, we have a lot of freelancers. Now, maybe more than in all the generation before, in all the history, is something that matters more than success, is to have impact. And my perspective is that our lack of emotional education is the driver that took us here. I know it's very, very important. My class, this class, as I told you about, is learned only in classroom, not online. Do you imagine how the impact of pandemic was for us? But my question is for you all: How can we educate people from this perspective, perspective of emotional education, to grow together, person and company, human and industry, business and everything else together? I know I said a lot and there are a lot of questions, but please help me with your answers. Thank you.
Beautiful. Georgia, is that your name? And this is your company? Yeah, CRESC, C-R-E-S-C, Class for Resilient Empathy and Spiritual Children. Incredible. Well done. Do you guys have an answer for her?
I mean, we could talk for hours, but you know, emotions, it's a critical part of the learning process. If we don't learn through rational mind, we learn through emotions. We see it with kids, with babies, you know, with children. They learn out of emotion, out of the relationship they have with the parents, and so on and so forth. What we do is to, even if we deliver online, we try to create occasion where students can meet in person, because this feeling of being in the same place is very important, is emotional. Second, I really believe that metaverse will recreate somehow those relationships that we live when we meet. I personally experienced it, and that's why I'm so optimistic about the future, because we have to catch up with this emotional side, which is crucial, again, for learning.
Thank you so much. And that is exactly what I mentioned about, are we preparing mechanical humans for the future? That is exactly what I was mentioning about. Thank you so much.
Incredible. Round of applause for our panelists. Really great conversations. Leaders in education, thank you so much for being here.